All right, awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed the smooth sounds of the royalty-free band there. Thank you all so much for joining today at our 2026 Mass Access annual meeting. I'm sorry we couldn't be in person, but I'd rather y'all be safe and at home or in the office and not have to travel into Boston where there's no parking to begin with, never mind the snow. So let's start off. I'll call this meeting to order. And our first order of business is to accept the minutes from last year. So hopefully everyone got a chance to take a look at those. I'm going to put them in the chat right now. So that's a link to our agenda, and the minutes are linked in there as well. And if we had a few people that got a chance to take a look at those minutes, I would entertain a motion to accept them.
I'll make
Motion
that
to,
motion, Katie.
cool. Okay. And would anyone like to second?
Second,
Great. Thanks, Jonathan. All right. All in favor?
aye.
Great.
Aye.
Thank you all so much. All right, and now I'd like to welcome our treasurer, Nancy, to give us a little treasurer's report for the year, a recap of 2025 and a look ahead to 2026. Take it away, Nancy.
Great. Thank you, Katie. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Share. Do. All right. Okay, everyone can see it. Just raise your hands. See my screen? Woo. Yay. Okay, awesome. So, hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Nancy Albertson. I'm the Executive Director of Billerick Access Television and your Mass Access Treasurer. And I'm here for just a brief report. I'll try and make it as painless as possible. So, for 2025, our total income was $39,993.17. As in the past years, membership dues contribute to a big amount of our source of income, with additional support coming from advocacy this year. Thank you all for contributing to the Give Better push for legislation income. And also from our meet and greets, webinars, and sponsors. Thank you to our sponsors. Okay. Now, on the expense side, our total expenses were $50,286.87, with our largest costs this year were legal fees, and then followed by the MMX server and website and database development. I do want to just briefly touch upon that legal line item there. So most of that cost were directly tied to advocacy work and legislative work, particularly with the streaming bill, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. And that was intentional and not routine, if you will. We definitely upped the spending for legislation this year. Okay. Oops, sorry, I went the wrong way here. Boop. There we go. Okay. So if you compare to last year, which you can see last year, our net income, we did have a surplus. This year, we're closing at a loss of $10,293.70. And again, this is it's largely a result of the advocacy work and the money that was put into the legal fees for the legislation efforts. So, and that's going to support us, hopefully that will help with us long-term sustainability for PEG access statewide. Hopefully our efforts will show some results. So keep positive, and thank you again for your contributions in the income side of that. So again, like last year, we did have a surplus, and I know this doesn't look pretty on paper, but it's because of that investment, in the legal and advocacy work tying to the streaming bill. And that is intentional and mission driven, and it's not a sign of anything broken. I don't believe at this point there's anything to be concerned about when it comes to our income. Okay, so with that note, as a reminder, I do want to mention we here at MassAccess, we do not have personnel costs. The board is entirely volunteer, and every dollar we take in goes back to the mission directly. So, and as I always have, with a sincere thank you to our membership and a sincere thank you to our sponsors, because with you, we really couldn't do the work that we're doing. Um, as you could see from my report in the first slide, that a large portion of our income is directly from you guys. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your continued support makes our work possible. And I'm going to throw that back over to you, Katie.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. And I just want to echo her thoughts about our sponsors and all of our members. We truly cannot do all the work that we do without your support. And this year, we need a tremendous amount of support to ensure that our legislative efforts can keep going strong. So please consider donating if you have the means to do so, so that we can continue to pay our lobbyists. All right, so now I'd like to introduce all of our board members. So first up, I'm Katie. I'm the Executive Director of Medfield TV and your new President of MassAccess. And I'm joined today by the outgoing President of MassAccess and my dear friend, the Executive Director of Winchester Community Access and Media, David Gauthier. We're also joined by our treasurer, who you just met, Nancy Albertson, and she's the Executive Director of Bill Ricca Access Television. Our clerk and the Executive Director of Beverly Community Access Media, Rob Chapman. John Boshin, the General Manager of Frontier Community Access Television.
I made that fancy video everybody saw.
Thank you. Karen Henderson, the General Manager of Westboro TV. And we have two new board members this year, Charlie Smith, the Community Outreach and Resource Coordinator at Bill Ricca Access Television. And from Cambridge Public Schools, we have Matt Landry, the Media Arts Manager. We also have one outgoing board member, Melinda Garfield, who I hope is on the call today. I want to say a special thank you to my good friend Melinda, who served not just once, but twice on the MassAccess board in multiple capacities throughout her career, including as the president in 2018 to 2019. I hope I got that right. And when I joined the board in 2020, I was really bummed to hear that she'd be stepping down, but I was lucky to have her as a supporter and a sounding board when I needed an ear during the last 5 years of my career, now 6. And I was thankful when she joined the board in 2025 to help with our legislative efforts on the streaming bill. So while we're so sad to lose her as a board member, we're thankful for all the positive impact she made on the organization and our industry. And I've also personally looked up to her as I've grown in my own career, and I'm so thankful that she's become one of my very greatest friends. So, Melinda, thank you for everything. And the next time I see you, I have a nice little gift for you from the MassAccess board members. So, thank you so much. In addition to everything that the board members do, they also serve on some committees to help ensure that our mission moves forward. So this year, our committees are the Legislative Committee, which is chaired by David Gauthier, and Karen Henderson and I are serving on that committee. I am also going to chair the Communications Committee, and Jonathan Boshin and Matt Landry will be joining me there. On the Governance Committee, Rob Chapman is going to chair that, and Nancy Albertson and David Gauthier will be helping him out. Rob's also going to be chairing the membership committee, and he's joined by Charlie Smith and Nancy Albertson. And then for the jam-packed events committee, Karen Henderson is very graciously taking that over to chair that committee and the meet and greets. Matt Landry is also joining her to run the webinars. Charlie Smith is going to be working with our vendors, and Jonathan Boshin is going to be helping out in every single capacity on that committee as well. So thank you all so much for taking all of that on. It's a huge help, and I could not do all this without you. So I have a few remarks as your new president today. I'm really excited about the year ahead, and I'm grateful for the trust that the board has given me and placed in me. And more than anything, I'm really energized by all of you, my colleagues, the people who do this important work every day. And I want to start today by just grounding us where we are, and that is in the MassAccess mission, which, as a reminder, is to ensure the future vitality of Massachusetts-based community media centers through education, advocacy, technology, and by serving as a liaison between government and the communities that we support. That mission is the reason MassAccess exists, and it only works because every one of us plays a role in carrying it forward. Now, I know for many of us, passing the streaming bill is goal number one this year, and it absolutely should be. Hardworking members of the MassAccess board, both past and present, as well as enthusiastic go-getters and leaders in our industry and passionate legislators, have worked for years through multiple versions of this bill to move it forward. And we all know the story of the past. We see forward legislative momentum for some time, but then we hit a roadblock and we get a sense of deja vu. But this time, I truly believe it's different. Third time's the charm, right? This iteration of the bill has already moved farther in the legislative process than ever before, and that matters. And while, yes, there is federal legislation in play threatening the advancement of our industry, I'm choosing to stay optimistic because we can't give up. At the same time, I want to be very clear about something. Passing this bill is not our only goal. No matter what happens legislatively, we can't afford to put all of our energy into a single outcome. Our responsibility is broader than that. In 2026, we need to make sure we're creating meaningful impact across all aspects of our mission: education, technology, advocacy, and mutual support. And that we're prepared for the what if scenario if deja vu strikes again. Because the truth is that what we do has never mattered more. We're living in an unprecedented moment in time, and I feel like we've been saying that for years, but it is true. Some days feel like we're in the bad place. Public safety feels fragile, trust feels fragile, and at times like these, community media is absolutely essential. We hold the platforms where people exercise their First Amendment rights. We provide equitable access, transparency, and accountability in our communities. The services we provide are unique and essential, and the work we do matters. It always has. And it matters even more right now in 2026. I also want to acknowledge something that's been weighing on me. I mentioned this to David the other day. I'm seeing colleagues leave their executive director positions on what feels like a near weekly basis, and it feels eerie. It's a reminder of how challenging this work is and how much pressure our colleagues are under. But it's also a reminder of why MassAccess exists. We are a network, we are a support system, and we have a responsibility to show up for one another, especially in moments like this. So here's my call to action as we move forward together. Stay engaged, stay connected, share what's working and what isn't on our forum. Join your colleagues at meet and greets. Learn as much as you can and take that back to your center. Show up for this organization, for your own organization, for your colleagues, and for your communities. Advocate when it matters, speak up when it's needed, and don't underestimate yourself or the power of the work you do every single day. MassAccess is only as strong as the people on this call and the dedicated colleagues in our industry. And I believe deeply that together we are strong enough to meet this moment. I'm proud to serve alongside you, and I'm excited about what we can accomplish this year. And I'm ready to dig in and get to work with each and every one of you. Thank you for all that you do, and please reach out to me if there's anything that you need. I might not have all the answers. I definitely know that I don't usually, but I'll always do my best to help, and I'll lean on my colleagues for their help as well. With that said, the MassAccess Board has already been diligently working with our colleagues to plan our 2026 events, and I'd like to now hand it off to Karen Henderson, the chair of our events committee, to talk a little bit about what we have in store for 2026. Thank you all.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Really well said. Appreciate that advice. As far as events go, the one that I want people to mark their calendars for is we already have set and discussions happening to go to Taunton Community Media Access. So we'll be down at TCAM with Executive Director Kim Murphy, who's worked with us on planning that event. So we're looking forward to that. That is Friday, June 12th. So mark your calendars. We will be sending out information about that. There'll be lunch, there'll be vendors, there'll be networking, and that's the next thing we know is on the calendar right now. We'll also be working to get a webinar so that, again, we can connect even when we're not in person. But certainly the in-person events are always a great chance to do exactly what Katie was talking about in terms of connecting and engaging. So that one is Friday, June 12th. We're going to try to get in, we're talking about trying to get in 2 other events. I know it's hard depending on where the station is, the community center is, where we, sorry, I know I stuttered there. Depending on where it's located, sometimes depends on whether or not you can join us. So we're going to try to just get those around the state. So there's one of them, if not all of them, that you're able to join us for. So we'll be looking at that also. And the events committee will keep everybody apprised of that. That's all for now. And thanks to TCAM for volunteering. And if anybody wants to host one, always send us a message. We'd be happy to come see you. We pick up the tab for lunch and snacks and things like that. We try to keep that reasonable, but always fun. And we could help you host one at your location. So if you're thinking like, oh, people haven't been here in a while, we'd love to go there. So keep us posted.
Yep. Thank you, Karen. And we usually try to do 2 a year. So definitely we'll look for some centers to host us in the fall. All right. So that brings us to the end of our annual meeting. So I think I need to end this. And then we're going to move on to our legislative briefing after that, but we have about 10 minutes. So for now, I will just entertain a motion to formally end the MassAccess meeting of 2026. Do I have a motion?
Sorry, just real quick, Katie. Do we have any time for discussion, or we're gonna do that
I
after?
was going to end the meeting and then we can do discussion before legislative briefing.
Great, I'll make a motion to end the meeting then.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second,
Oh, we had 4 seconds. That's great.
third.
All right, thank you all. Okay, so I'd like to now open up the floor. If there are any questions for me or the rest of the board members, we're happy to.
Can I
Be here
make
in
one
chat.
statement? Just
Yeah,
quickly?
absolutely, Nancy.
For anyone who hasn't renewed your membership, please do so. It's the beginning of the year, so please, we appreciate it. Get those memberships in.
Yes, and I know that the renewal process can be a little tricky this year. Rob is diligently putting together some instructions for how to do that because it's not so straightforward with our new website. But we're hopeful that once everything gets settled this year, next year renewals will be much cleaner and smoother. And I did see Jason Daniels had his hand raised.
Yeah, I may have missed this, so I'm sorry. Maybe you could resend it, but is there a balance sheet or something that we could see?
Yeah, we can send that along, right, Nancy? Okay, awesome. We'll send that out after the meeting is over.
Thanks.
Nate asks, when is the legendary MassAccess map coming out for illustrating our members? I don't know, that's a David question.
Soon as someone wants to take over filling all those little municipalities in Photoshop.
You just tell us what to do, we'll do it. I love that map.
You
Jeff,
can
yeah.
continue to love that map.
Hi there. Thank you all for your service. I know you all do a great job of and spend a lot of extra hours on this, and just respect you all for doing that. Appreciate it. I just have one request, if it's possible. Y- could it be that before each Mass Access board meeting, an agenda could be set out? Not that I'm planning on attending them, but just to know when the board meets in advance of it, in case there are issues that come up. It would be good to know that the board's meeting like in 2 weeks, and here's the agenda,
Mhm.
just to let folks know. And I realize it may not always be possible, but it's just a request.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We can do that. And I think in the past we used to send some like what are they called? Summaries out afterwards. We had since fallen off the track of doing that. If it's, if the membership has an appetite for that this year, we can certainly try to do that again. It's just a matter of what kind of time we have available.
Yeah, and just to follow up, I'm really suggesting that based on what you had said, and to stay engaged. And I feel like I
Yeah,
would be more engaged if I
if we
got
knew
that
what we were
little
doing.
ticker that said the board's meeting next week. That would sort of keep me in line.
Yeah,
Thanks.
for sure. Great idea, Jeff. We have Glenn raised his hand.
Yes, hi, how are you? I hope everybody's enjoying this beautiful New England weather. On behalf of the Alliance for Community Media Regional, National, and Foundation, I'd like to say how much we've really appreciated our relationship with the great David Gauthier. Where is he? Did he leave?
He's gone forever. No,
Great David Gauthier, there he is. Our
I'm back. I'm
relationship,
back. I'm back. I'm
our relation,
multitasking, Glenn.
our relationship with David has been not only strength for us, but it's also been very educational for us, and we've been very proud to have him on our regional board. We've been proud to have him nationally, sticking his head in there and helping us lead the way. But as president of Mass Access, he was a great asset and help towards us. And Katie, I'd love to reach out to you to see if you might be interested in getting involved with the Alliance, because we're called different things, but our mission is the same. And
absolutely.
we're always trying to improve some of the things that we run across. So thank you, David. Thank you, Katie, for the second. I just wanted to not throw that in. I wanted to make sure someone heard that.
Thank
It
you,
was
my friend.
delicately placed, not thrown. Thank you so much, Glenn. Yes, let's chat. If it's not me, definitely another member of the board or a dedicated member of Mass Access can join. Yeah, Karen.
Sorry, just along those lines, Glenn, I was just thinking about if you know if there's going to be an ACM salary survey this year. I think something must have happened last year and we didn't end up with it. And I have seen along the way people asking about that, and just didn't know if there was a plan for trying to collect that again this year.
Yeah, we are going to be doing that. I know that we sent it out last year. Nationally, you're talking. We're not going to do it regionally. Jim, we don't do that regionally. No, we do it nationally. And it is something that is sent out. It's and it does help us to kind of see the flow and where everybody's kind of sitting, and to speak to the fact that there are some general managers that are moving in different directions, how difficult this job really is. And I think the compensation is obviously sometimes falls into that kind of a realm. I'm not telling anybody sitting here that doesn't already know that. But yes, Karen, that is absolutely in the plan.
Thank you.
So just jumping in, we can expect that salary survey you're saying maybe sometime in the coming months?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. I'm on the board with Bedford TV and we're anxiously awaiting it. We use that in our planning. Thanks.
Oh, Glenn, I think you're muted.
No, I'll in fact I've got a couple of meetings coming up, and I will be bringing it up with David Wassenaar and the great Shelby, who just had a baby. So we're kind of excited about that. So okay, good enough. Thanks.
Okay.
Can I just add something on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
just that everybody remembers, you have to participate in the salary survey to get one. So when you see that email come through, don't ignore it. And it's better if we all participate. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. That's a big job. Alex has his hand raised.
Hey there, I got one quick question. I was wondering if there were gonna be any I know we used to have like monthly calls with Mass Access. I was wondering if those could come back, even if it's not monthly. I understand. I know that monthly can be difficult, but even if like a quarterly, so we can all just get together, even if just virtually, and just talk shop, get a little bit of the update too.
Yeah, that's been on my mind too, Alex. I think we need to bring that back in some fashion. Quarterly might be a great way to start. And the board and I can chat and then pick some dates. If Fridays still work for people, we can do Friday. Just let us know. And we'll keep you all up to date on when that first meeting's going to be.
And then one more question. I'm wondering how much or how far we are into our little fundraising goal.
We are about 30% there.
30%.
Yep. And
And
I
how long
believe,
does the, sorry, I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay.
How long does the matching last for?
Until July 31st, I believe.
Okay.
And I think we have about $20,000 left to raise, and MassAccess is going to match that. Is that right, Nancy? Do I have those numbers right? Oh, Nancy walked away. It's about $20,000.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Looks like we have just a couple minutes left before the legislative briefing. Does anyone else have any questions? No? Okay. David, I'll pass the torch to you, as you've done for me.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks everybody for being so flexible and joining us on this virtual platform. We had every intention of being at the State House this afternoon, but after we got quite a pounding yesterday and the day before, we decided we probably would get a little bit more participation if we were to do this on Zoom. So we thank all of you for joining us. We can see that there are still people filing in, and I can say with much confidence that we probably made the right decision because we're way past the room's capacity as far as participants on Zoom here today. We are here to talk about the legislative efforts here with MassAccess, and specifically, we're here to talk about an act to modernize funding for community media programming. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who has participated in this process over the last few sessions as we've sort of had these balls in the air. As you know, community media exists here in Massachusetts like it does in no other state. Massachusetts has really embraced this industry more than any other state, and we feel it's very appropriate that we are the pioneers in finding a new funding stream for this vital work. So we're going to talk about it quite a bit today. There are several people that I wanted to introduce to you. Some will be speaking, some are here to listen, and I'm sure we'll reach all of you at some point. There are so many people here, it's hard to sort of keep track of everybody that's here. So I do appreciate everyone who's here, all the legislators and staffers as well. But to start off, we are going to hear from at least our co-presenters on the House side. We're going to hear from Representative Joan Moschino from the 3rd Plymouth District. Rep. Moschino represents the towns of Cohasset, Hingham, and Hull. And of course, Representative Margaret Scarsdale of the 1st Middlesex District, which consists of the towns of Ashby, Dunstable, Pepperell, Groton, and Townsend, and of course, parts of Lunenburg as well. So that's going to be first on our agenda, just to hear from those two representatives. Then we'll be moving forward. But before I kick it on over to Rep Moschino, I did want to mention and give a chance to Mark Lanigan, who's a special guest today. And Mark is representing Senator Ed Markey's office, and so we thought it was important that, and I talk about this quite a bit. At this point, you hear Mike Wassenaar say this too on the national level, is that the work that you're doing these days has to be sort of that three prong. You have to be working on the local level. You have to be doing your state advocacy, and you have to always keep an eye on what's happening at the federal level as well. And so Senator Markey is such a huge partner for us. He's such a great proponent of community media. So Mark, if you could just say a few words on behalf of the senator before we get started, I'd really appreciate it.
Totally. Thanks so much, David, and thanks to everyone here. Hey, everyone, I'm Mark Flanagan. I'm Senator Ed Markey's in-state lead on telecommunications and technology matters. And so just wanted to be on, so appreciate all the work that MassAccess does across the state and nationally, fighting in DC as well. We are, in lockstep in initiatives in the state and at the federal level to protect community media. I myself am actually a former community media alum with Medway Cable Access. So the senator is fighting for the Protecting Community TV Act as well at the federal level. Quick 6-line piece of legislation. It's really easy to read. You can put on your bedstand. It's meant to give more funding to community media by eliminating rules that were previously imposed on in-kind contributions through franchise fees. So we want to increase funding. We know that that's important. So I wanted to, mention a little bit about the senator's efforts in DC. But David and MassAccess and Rep Moschino, Rep Scarsdale, all the reps, senators, Senator Lewis, Rep Farley Bouvier, see a bunch of folks on the front of my screen here. Thanks, for all your efforts as well. Rep Ayers, I'm seeing right underneath me. Thanks so much to, for all your efforts. And David, throw it back to you.
Thanks so much, Mark. And appreciate your kind words and being such a great partner to us. It's heartening for us to know that we're covered on so many different levels. So at this point, I think I'm going to hand things over to Rep Joan Moschino. And Rep Moschino is going to give us sort of a lay of the land about our particular funding bill. And she could give us a little bit of background and let us know where we stand at the moment. Rep Moschino, are you here?
Hi, David. How are you? It's so great to be with everyone today. Thank you for this, and I wish we were in person. Obviously, I miss you guys, but it's really terrific to be here with you all virtually. Just first, Katie Duvall, congratulations. It's very exciting to have you now in the leadership role. Very, very pleased for you. And David, just a quick shout out, a thank you for your leadership. This has been really a joy to work with MassAccess and really fun to work with you in particular. But we're excited to give you a rest and let you step back. And you know that you're never really step back from these things, and that you'll always be there. And I have your cell phone, so there's that. But we're really excited to work with you and keep seeing this work through, Katie. And I know MassAccess is in very good hands with you. And then I did also just want to thank Mark for coming on and representing Senator Markey. We know he's a champion in this area, and we are really delighted that you are on this call today to hear about what's going on in both the local and the state level here. And ideas, suggestions are welcome, and your partnership and the senator's friendship is greatly appreciated. The other thing is I haven't even had a chance to see all of the reps on here, but there's really a great number. I mean, I just happen to see Joan Lovely happens to be right below me, but and I saw Bruce Ayers somewhere. But I'm going to go through and we'll figure out who's on here and give everyone a quick shout out. And then just really quickly, because we're before the legislators, just a really quick shout out to Trish Farley Bouvier and to Mike Moore. Those are our fantastic chairs that you are honoring today. And, it's one thing to get advocates like ourselves and Rep. Scarsdale and Senator Lewis, but it's another to get the attention of a chair. And that's what you did. And we are grateful to them for embracing this bill, for their leadership on this bill. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to them. Um, Rep. Scarsdale and I actually talked a little bit before, and she's going to lead off. She's going to kick off, and then I'm going to back close up. But I did want to just give a few quick shout outs and to thank Margaret as well, because we are doing legislation. That means it has to be relevant, it has to be timely, and it has to be ready. And that takes work, which you have all done. You have put the hours in, you have made this, done the work, and you have engaged the members, and that's how you get the chair's attention. Um, God help them both. I think they're ready to get this one done. Um, I tease, I'm sorry, but Margaret, in particular, you have been a breath of fresh air, and your partnership on this has been really tremendous. So I'm just gonna let you kick off, and then I'll come back on in a second. Rep. Scarsdale. It is on mute, or not. So maybe I'll just do it myself. Oh, Margaret, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Margaret.
No. All right.
All righty, there we go. All right. Well, what I was saying was right back at you, Joan, and I echo all of the congratulations that you were so generous about putting out. And good afternoon to all of you, and really thank you for joining us. I just want to begin by expressing my unqualified enthusiasm and my gratitude for all of the community media stations in the Commonwealth. I have seen it for myself in my district, and I certainly hear it from my constituents and my colleagues. Our community media stations are how we stay informed about what is happening in our towns and in our neighborhoods, and they are how we stay connected, period. From broadcasting board and committee meetings and town meetings to cooking classes and bone builder to providing access for individuals to create their own unique kind of shows. Our community media stations are really lifelines for most of us. I think David said vital. And for many of us, they really are the only way that we can get local news. As you know, though, our community media stations also face a critical issue of funding, with many of them barely holding on, including those in the first Middlesex. So if you know your cable access people, you know you won't meet a more dedicated group of professionals than the ones who run these stations. And certainly the group of people who contribute their time to make the shows are so diverse and energetic and amazing. And these are the ones who really bring our towns to life and, like I said, keep us all connected. So losing even one of them means a light, literally a lifeline, an inclusive, a heart of community lifeline has gone out. And the three bills that we are talking about today to modernize funding for community media programming, H91, S41, and H106 are the practical, the reasonable, and the necessary path forward that we need to save these critical community assets. So I want to thank you again for being here, and I urge you to support these bills. And I will turn it back over to my esteemed colleague, Rep. Moschino.
Thank you so much, Margaret. As I said, it's just been fantastic to be working with you. Just real quick, let's just regroup, make sure everyone knows where we're at. So first of all, these bills have been filed in several sessions. And to my earlier point, they take time to vet and to engage, and you've done that work. And so this session, last session, excuse me, we were able to advance a bill where we had worked out some language that was hopefully acceptable to everybody. And so this time when we got in, this session, we just started right from where we were and continued the engagement and the advocacy, and we were able to pull forward both versions of the bill. If you'll all recall, we had a surprise supporter in Rep. Vieira who filed the original version of the bill. So now we are in our respective ways and means, and we'll talk a little bit about strategy in a minute. What's important is that we made progress at every step of the way. Questions were asked. The bill was vetted. We went and got some financial projections. We went and got a legal reviews. And in fact, the legal analysis still holds up today. And every step of the way, we were engaging with the committee, we're engaging with all of you, we're educating the members, and that's why you saw progress and you saw the bill come forward this year favorably reported out. Now, what happens is the Senate version goes to the Senate and the House version goes to the House. And now what we'll have to do is to figure out a path forward on the floor. And we'll be talking with you continuously about what our strategies are and what our opportunities are to advance this bill. And we are in this with you every step of the way. I don't need to go back over the rationale for the bill. Margaret articulated it really lovely. We are updating an existing law. We are looking for that, that steady, standard, dedicated revenue source that is going to come to all of you. It's modest, but it's steady and it's dedicated, and that is the goal. It remains the goal. The language, we'll just figure it out, we'll work it out. Margaret already talked about the vibrant ecosystem that is MassAccess and all of our public access channels. And I don't think anybody questions that. It's about how we get the attention, how we move this forward, how we find that path to the floor. There will be a few challenges. Let's be clear. 7,000 bills later, there's a lot of other people demanding attention. That's why your work is so important in engaging members and sticking with them as we go forward in time, because you have to keep it in the front of our minds. You have to make sure you have those good relationships with your legislators, both on the House and the Senate side. That's why you always have to be touching base with us and making sure we remember it, because there are a lot of challenges right now. And so that will be one of our biggest challenges now, is just to continue to build on the momentum that you have grown, the momentum that you have built. This has probably been one of the most, I'd say, of all the bills that I've worked on thus far, 5 terms, this one has had the most member engagement. And that's you. And we have to not only keep that up, now we're going to have to take it to the next level. And I do just want to acknowledge this has been a dialogue from the very beginning, including the cable companies. They have come and sat with us and shared with us what their challenges are, and they're very concerned that Massachusetts, in leading in this way, will create a precedent nationwide. And that's essentially what we're doing. And so not only is it important for us to foster the ecosystem here, we have a real opportunity to impact what other states are able to do and see if they can replicate what you've done and take it to scale across the country. So we'll see how that goes. But as I said, this is one of 7,000 bills, and all of those bills are equally important. So we need to continue what we started. We need to see it through to the end of session. This is the second year we've just come into, the second part of our formal session, and we're looking towards a July 31st deadline. So we will continue to meet with you. I think it's monthly that we do, and we will continue to develop strategies as the best ways to elevate this bill. And really, it seems so obvious to all of us, but in the face of competing demands, your advocacy to see this through becomes even more relevant right now. You have engaged your local boards. It's fantastic. MassAccess membership across the board has been just fantastic. We ask you show up like with a snap, and I have to say, honestly, I love the video testimonies. I loved all the in-person testimonies and the written testimonies. You're creatives. That's what you do. And quite frankly, what we need you to do is continue to engage in the local level, your select boards. We want to hear from them. Members want to hear from them. And it's that local engagement that has gotten you this far, and it will continue to get you the rest of the way. Our strategy might change a little bit because now that we've gotten it through our committees and our chairs have supported it, we have to compete with other bills, right? So first you got it on your merits, but now we have to figure out the way to continue. Um, the and we have to be able to respond to any questions that come our way. I would say we've anticipated most of them, but that said, we're not starting from scratch or starting fresh, but a new set of eyes is now looking at it, and that is purposeful and intentional because we are updating Mass General laws, and we should do it thoughtfully, considerately, and make our case. And we can. We absolutely can. So I will just say that probably the best thing right now is to continue to build knowledge among the members. We have a whole host of new members, and if they're in your districts, that is where you should be focused. And quite frankly, just apart from this bill, you, as the community media centers, should have good relationships with each and every one of your senators and your state reps. So you've got the momentum, you've got a great bill, you have garnered already a lot of support, and if we want change, we have to call for the change that we want. And I think at this point in the game, I'll leave it at that and turn it back over to Mass Access, and we're happy to stick around and answer questions on the back end. Oh, and I'm sorry, hold on, who did I say? I saw Rep. Higgins, Rep. Bowen, Senator Lovely, Rep. Tarski, Rep. Ayers, Senator Moore, and I know there were a lot of staffers here from the various offices whose names I recognize, but I don't always know what staff is with which office. I just know who you are. So I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who made their time to come out today. In my humble opinion, this is one of the most, for such a small ask, well, we're only asking for like $65 million. For such a small ask, this is probably got one of the biggest return on that investment. And this is going to be, I think, um, probably one of the most impactful bills that we could pass this session. So thank you again for being fabulous. Thanks for all of your work in our local communities. Thanks for your advocacy and bringing this forward on Beacon Hill. And really excited to continue to work with you. And Margaret and I and the senator are eager to get this across the finish line and see it done. So I'll turn it back over to you.
David, before you pop in, I don't know if she was mentioned, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Rep. Sangiola. I also see her on the call and apologies if we're missing others.
Excellent. Well, thank you both, representatives. And I realize I'm a bit out of order here. You'd think at this point I'd be used to this, but my apologies to the legislators of the year. We're going to do that right after I introduce another very important person in this whole process, Senator Jason Lewis of the 5th Middlesex District. Senator Lewis introduces the bill for us on the Senate side. And he has been a tireless advocate for our cause and for our industry. I wanted to give Senator Lewis just a couple of minutes to say a few words. Please take it away, Senator Lewis.
Well, it's great to see you all, at least virtually. I'm State Senator Jason Lewis, and have been proud to be the lead Senate sponsor on the legislation for a number of sessions now, and been thrilled to work with Rep. Machino and Rep. Scarsdale and many of our colleagues who've co-sponsored the bills and have been very supportive. I also really appreciate, David, your leadership. For those who don't know, my hometown is Winchester, which is where David is. So I actually get to work with him in taping my update from Beacon Hill show from time to time. And also want to really offer my congratulations to Katie Duval as the new MassAccess president, and looking forward to your leadership and working with you. And also appreciation, I know, to Karen Henderson, who's been working tirelessly on the bill as well. So thank you. And let me also offer in advance my congratulations to Senator Moore and Representative Farley Bouvier. They've been also terrific to work with in really digging into the bill and making some updates to the bill that I think have strengthened it and give it an even better chance of getting to the governor's desk. Recently in taping my update from Beacon Hill show, I kind of rotate around my district and record each time in a different one of my communities, and then it gets syndicated across the district. But most recently, I was actually at Urban Media Arts, or UMA, which is Malden's community media. And when I arrived, I got the news that the executive director basically just had to lay off two of their basically longtime staffers, and devastating news, obviously, for those individuals, and for all the good work that UMA has been doing, because this really limits their ability to do all of the projects they've been involved in the community. They have to kind of scale back their ambitions. And the reason they had to lay off those staff, as I'm sure many of you know, is because their revenue stream has just continued to fall because people cutting the cord on cable, and we don't have a new revenue stream to make up for it. And, thinking that municipalities can just step in is not realistic. Malden is facing a very, very tough fiscal picture, as are most of our cities and towns. And that's not a solution. We need a new revenue stream. And what we propose in this bill is a fair way to do so. These streaming services use the public right of way, and it's not unreasonable to have a modest assessment in order to cover these critical costs. So for the future of UMA and all of our community media stations and staff all across the Commonwealth, we need to continue to push hard. We've made progress. Both the House and Senate bills are in our Ways and Means committees. That's the last stop before a bill comes to the floor. But as you've heard, it's competing with a lot of other bills for attention. And, this bill does place a new fee on streaming services. So that, is an additional hurdle, for us to get over. But we can do it. And so really, thanks to all of our House and Senate colleagues and staff for your support. And we need to continue, as you've heard already, to educate legislators and staff, and continue to make the case. And let's be as creative as we can. I know we've got some great videos and other testimonials that show the power of community media and the value of it. Let's continue to circulate those and continue to make the case so we can get these bills through the House and Senate, and hopefully signed into law by Governor Healy this session. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Senator. It's really well said. And I think it's important that you bring up the municipalities and the unfair situation that we're sort of putting them in, right? Or some municipalities will be able to afford this, look at it as almost like a luxury, and some just won't. And so that's a bit of an unfairness for the residents of Massachusetts. Before we go any further with the bill, I want to take a quick break. Every year we give out the Legislator of the Year award. This year we're giving away two. And very quickly, I want to introduce you to two very, very instrumental legislators. First is Senator Michael Moore. Senator Moore was born and raised in Millbury, and he has devoted his entire adult life to public service, including a law enforcement officer, environmental investigator, and a town selectman. As the Senate chair of the Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet, and Cybersecurity, Senator Moore has helped to advance our funding bill over the last two sessions. And I'd like to, before we go directly to Senator Moore, I'd like to go to General Manager of Westboro TV, Karen Henderson, who will say a couple of words about her interactions with Senator Moore. Karen, please go ahead.
Sure, great. So I'm so glad that you could make it today, Senator Moore. I know you had a little bit of a dicey schedule, so it's great to see you here. Just like it is great to invite him in to Westboro TV on a pretty regular basis. We had a little hiccup with our normal host of 01581 that he appeared on for a couple of years. We're going to get a new host in place, but the people in Westboro love to get that update from him. And I'm so appreciative that he comes in here and shares that with us. And also, I know I did see Shrewsbury Media Connection on the call, but he certainly does a great show over there and a new podcast. I could do a little plug for you there, Senator Moore, on the podcast. But, that really, to me, underscores the importance of what we're doing. We have to keep people informed. The power of local information and local knowledge is so important. Harder and harder for people to keep up with what's happening in the local towns and even what's happening in Massachusetts with newsprint media and the struggles that they have had. So it makes local access all the more important, and it really has been fantastic that Senator Moore has taken advantage of community media centers to get his message out and to make sure we know what's happening up on Beacon Hill. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. It's been really great to get to know him, and he has been nothing but supportive. And I really appreciate especially the support in the last couple of years with getting this bill through. I mean, I think he really understands the issues we're facing. So many thanks and congratulations to him on being one of our legislators of the year. And Katie's trying to hold up your award there, Senator Moore. But I don't know if you'd like,
it's there.
It's there. If you'd like to say a few comments, we'd love to hear it. Thank you.
Sure, great. Thank you. Thank you, Katie, for the award presentation, and thank you, Karen, David, and Katie. And listen, I really want to thank Senator Lewis, Representative Scarsdale, and also Representative Machino. They're the ones that brought this issue forward on behalf of MassAccess, and it really is an important issue. There's really not, when they say you're on the bottom, one of the last few speakers, everything's already been said, but it really has, and you really have emphasized why this bill is so important. One thing I can say that during the hearing process, I don't think there was anyone from testimony or committee members that ever attacked the validity of public access. There may have been questions on how we go about funding it, but there was no one that said it wasn't a vital service provided by our municipalities. And Karen, you just hit a very valid point with the problem that we have today with media, national media, even the social media, how people are getting misinformed. I think it's really important now that we have access to nonpartisan, information coming straightforward, so that the public can stay knowledgeable what's going on in the community, what's going on in their state legislature or the state. And I'm hoping that that everyone can make enough noise on this issue that it rises to the top of the 7,000 bills that have been filed, and we can try to get some funding. I think we all been, even if you follow national news, I think it was the continuing resolution, they cut funding from NPR. So we've got to try to restore media access to valid media that people can trust. And I think supporting our local access, public access, is the way to do that. And I want to thank you for all the work that you've all done. And Karen, thank you for working with me over the last several years on the show. I really do appreciate it. And I do have to say, last thing about I just want to say something about my co-chair. You can have two chairs of committees that may address issues or try to address issues and just be night and day. It's been an honor working with my co-chair, Tricia Fowler-Bouvier, on this issue and others. She's been a great co-chair. We've worked on many bills, and I'm so happy that this is another one that we were both in alignment on trying to support. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator, not only for your work and your kind words this afternoon, but for helping me with a great segue into our next legislator of the year. Representative Tricia Farley Bouvier represents the 2nd Berkshire District in the city of Pittsfield. And before joining the House of Representatives, she was a city councilor in Pittsfield from 2004 to 2008. And as the House Chair of the Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet, and Cybersecurity, Rep. Farley Bouvier has also been extremely instrumental to our legislative success over the last few years. Sean Sayre is the Executive Director at Pittsfield TV, and we invite him to add a few words here as well. Sean, take it away.
Thank you, David. I just got a few words here. I'd like to say thanks to Representative Tricia Farley Bouvier for all of her support for PCTV and for WTBR-FM here over the years. Since she has been in office and even before that, while involved with the Pittsfield city government, it's been clear that she understands the power and the importance of community media. Folks in MassAccess, I can tell you, she gets it. She gets it. Her PCTV program From the Berkshires to Beacon Hill continues to be an excellent means of communication for her constituents. She's always available to join me on WTBR's Morning Drive program to update us on the important issues at the State House. Tricia has been a real advocate for community media as a means to promote transparency in government, and again, for finding a way forward for our industry to modernize our funding. We've been lucky to have her as our state representative, as she's been very approachable and very accessible. And on a personal level, Tricia, I'd like to say thanks for your friendship, and I hope to work with you on future projects and issues as well. Congratulations, Tricia, on being selected Legislator of the Year.
Thank you so much, Sean and Katie and David, and certainly to my colleagues, Rep. Moschino and Rep. Scarsdale. We've worked very closely on this bill. Senator Lewis, we've worked on many things together, haven't we, Senator? And certainly to my co-chair, Senator Moore. We've been in the trenches on a few things, most notably right now, very big focus is comprehensive data privacy. When it comes to this bill that you've all been working so hard at, quite frankly, for your own survival, I do get it, and have recognized right away how important saving community access television is. In my view of this is about saving democracy. I believe strongly in the Fourth Estate, and it is no better shown up than in local news. PCTV covers gavel to gavel every city council meeting, every school committee meeting, every subcommittee of all of those boards, the Animal Control Commission, and the Conservation Commission, God help them. And they literally do it all, plus other things that the city government or schools is asking them to do. They do sporting events, and that was particularly important during COVID, where parents would be able to watch these games, or if our teams are playing away, being able to have access so that people can watch their teams. So PCTV is very creative in trying to do whatever they can to find funding. It is an excellent place for students to learn how to work with media. There is a program within Taconic High School that trains the kids. There's just so much going on there. It's a real hub for us. So, and you are all really interestingly positioned because of your relationships you have with your local elected officials to have the champions. And I always give like an advocacy 101 thing, and you should know your state rep, and your state rep should know you. I say that all the time, and you all have that, and that is a big reason that you have been so effective. So this bill has been voted favorably out of committee with, resoundingly. And I will tell you here that it is, passing this information on to Ways and Means and to House leadership. I have recommended it in the top 3, maybe 2 bills that need to be taken up this session. And, figuring out a way to get that funding stream. And no one disagrees that we need to save it. There's still some disagreement about how to save it. And so we need to continue to do that work. I can't emphasize enough what Rep. Mosquito said about continuing engagement through the rest of this session is going to be very important. So again, I thank you all, and I look forward to continued partnership with all of you. And go
Thank you,
PCTV.
Thank you so much to both of you. And we have a few more speakers lined up to talk about our funding bill, but I'm going to do another little sidebar here because we have another special guest that I'd like to introduce to you. Senator Joan Lovely is a former winner of the MassAccess Legislator of the Year award. And Senator Lovely has been working for quite some time on a different bill for MassAccess. It's entitled an act relative to PEG access and cable-related funds. And a lot of you will remember that this is one that's specifically difficult on smaller operations that have a town meeting form of government. It's been a little bit of a slog over the last few years, and Senator Lovely has never forgotten us. She reintroduces the bill in every session and was actually able to get it engrossed by the Senate in the last session before it sort of ran out of time in the House. And I know that Senator Lovely has joined us, so I'm hoping to prevail upon her for a little bit of an update. Please take it away, Senator Lovely.
Thank you, David, and proud recipient of this award in the past. So thank you so much for all you do. Congratulations to today's award recipients. Very well deserved. I know how hard you're working on that bill, and I totally, absolutely support it. So we have been working on a PEG access bill for a few terms, and we did get it engrossed in the Senate, and it's actually been moved into the orders of the day. So it is ready to hit the floor, so to speak. And I feel pretty confident that we will actually get it engrossed in the Senate again this session, hopefully on the earlier side. I think when we redid our rules, I think that really moved our work up. I know you've all been very busy and just so proud of the work that both the House and Senate have done to get bills more timely submitted. And so, yeah, so this bill is, we've been filing, David, since the 2017-18 session where we
Been a while.
It's been a while, but we didn't get a lot of traction on it, but we did, as you said, last session, and we did, and we will this session. I'm feeling pretty confident about it, and I want to work with the House to get it engrossed over there, and let's get it done. And the bill, now I'm going to look for the description. David, did you describe the bill?
Sure. So it really just changes a couple of words in the Mass General Law, removing the word appropriated from the law, because that's really what triggers that town meeting. So we just want to get rid of that word, replace it with a different phrase. And we've been told by the Department of Revenue, if we're able to do that, towns will be able to set up revolving funds for their PEG fees so that it'll just be money in and then money out. We don't have to wait around for town meeting.
And city council. So that's
Right.
exactly it, David. And it just gives more direct access for PEG access and cable related fund to allow the municipality to, again, arrange direct payment to the franchise for payment of franchise related fees for this. So, yep, it just streamlines it. We have the support. We don't have any opposition to it, and we just need to get it across the finish line. So appreciate you allowing me to talk about it for a few minutes. And again, so happy to be here. And David goes back to Salem Access TV. So we go way back. We're in the Wayback Machine when I was on the city council. That's how far back. So thanks,
We
David.
do. We go back a long ways, and it's always a pleasure to work with you, Senator.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to move on here and talk a little bit more. We thought it would be interesting. You often hear from us, from the community media professionals, but we thought it would be important to bring a municipal perspective. So Elizabeth Dion is joining us. She's a member of the Belmont Select Board, and Ms. Dion has spoken on this issue a few times and has been very vocal in her support. We thank her for that. And I just want to hand it over to you, Elizabeth, to say a few words on why you think this effort is so important.
Thank you, David. It's an honor to share some brief remarks with you today. On July 10th of this past year, Jeff Hansel, Executive Director of the Belmont Media Center, and I appeared before the House and Senate Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet, and Cybersecurity to testify on behalf of S41H91, an act to modernize funding for community media programming. Among other things, I noted that Belmont's Select Board had unanimously endorsed the bill. At the conclusion of that testimony, Chair Tricia Farley Bouvier noted that I was the only local government official to testify in person on behalf of the bill, which greatly surprised me because local officials absolutely understand the importance of local media. After my July 10th testimony, I reached out to colleagues in Sudbury, Winthrop, North Adams, Amherst, Arlington, and Reading. To a person, they emphasized the importance of local media in building community and providing access to local government. Belmont's 27,500 residents rely heavily on the Belmont Media Center, or BMC. Our town meeting has 300 members, the largest representative town meeting in the state. We also have approximately 50 town committees with another 300 plus volunteers. BMC co-hosts most of those meetings. It is the media and communications hub for our government, schools, civic organizations, businesses, and the public. It is also a town technology hub, managing and maintaining the equipment used to broadcast various meetings, including town meeting. Our local paper, the Belmont Voice, relies heavily on BMC broadcasts and recordings to cover local government news. Prior to 2020, I had little interaction with BMC. But our partnership with BMC is the only way Belmont's government continued to function during the pandemic. When everything else shut down, BMC stepped forward, providing mission-critical technology and expertise at no additional cost to the town. Due to the pandemic, town meeting remained fully remote in 2020, 21, and 22, which we accomplished with a partnership between BMC and the town's technology staff. The pandemic forever changed the way we conduct local government. Even after COVID restrictions ended, town meeting members wanted a hybrid option to accommodate those with mobility issues, health concerns, or family constraints. At any given town meeting, fully 1/3 to 1/2 of our members participate remotely. Under this hybrid option, all town meeting representatives vote by phone, even if they're in the meeting room. We could not do this without BMC, which is now an integral part of our government structure. BMC is scrappy. Despite the reduction in cable TV franchise fees, it has continually expanded its services through innovation, six-figure fundraising, and community volunteers. When our new high school opened in 2021, BMC built out a new studio there. In July of this past year, my select board colleagues and I approved an agreement to move additional BMC operations into our new public library, reducing their annual rent expense by over $100,000 per year. Our beautiful new library opened 10 short days ago, and it is wonderful to have BMC studios both figuratively and literally in the middle of our town. We desperately need the additional revenues from this bill to ensure BMC's long-term viability and the viability of local media in each of the Commonwealth's 351 cities and towns. Our laws and regulations have not kept pace with the evolving market for content delivery. We hear people cutting the cord, but that's not really what's happening. Many of us use streaming services such as Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime. These streaming companies are using the same public infrastructure, and they are using it for free. That is not fair. Streaming services now have a competitive advantage over cable TV companies, and this loss of revenue degrades local government's ability to communicate with our constituents. Like all municipalities, Belmont's operating budget is tight. The state budget has doubled since 2012, but local aid has increased only 25%, falling far behind inflation and our rising costs. Despite passing an $8.4 million operating override in 2024, Belmont continues to cut town staff, as do other cities and towns. We don't have the money to cover lost franchise fees. Is this bill a new tax on consumers? In my opinion, it is a usage fee for public rights of way. It is a cost of doing business in our state, just as franchise fees are. Highly profitable streaming services already raise their subscription rates to the level the market will support, regardless of this bill, which adds a small fraction to their current cost of doing business. This bill is good public policy. It levels the playing field between streaming services and cable TV providers, charging them equally for use of public telecommunications infrastructure. The bill is an efficient, focused, and elegant solution that directly tackles the problem it is intended to solve, supporting community media centers across the Commonwealth. It provides local aid exactly where it's intended, and it does not impact the state budget. So to our state legislators out there, and probably the ones who are not on this call or the Zoom, this should be an easy vote. Your support of this bill will deliver needed funding to community media centers who provide daily critical support to our municipalities. And it does this without taking funding from the pockets of our constituents. I want to close by thanking MassAccess for your advocacy and work on behalf of local media in Massachusetts. And I pledge my ongoing support for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's very well said. And Jeff tells me I pronounced your last name incorrectly. It's Dion. Sorry about that. Thank you for spending your time here today and for your great support. I want to go over now to provide a little bit of perspective from the community media end of things. My dear friend and colleague, Mr. Glenn Williams, is the executive director of Boston Neighborhood Network, and I wanted to give Glenn a few minutes to talk about his experience and what they're going through over there at BNN. Glenn, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, David. I appreciate it. And of course, you know, and everybody knows that when you're speaking towards the end of a meeting or something, all of the things that you've wanted to say have already been said. So, but there is a couple of things I do want to say. One of them is that here at Boston Neighborhood Network, we recognize the fact that there's a grandmother sitting at home who can't attend a graduation. There's a grandfather sitting someplace who wants desperately to see his grandson play third base for Catholic Memorial. And he can't do that because he can't get to the place. It's so important. I can't tell you the phone calls and the responses I have gotten from people who have said, you know, I would have never seen my grandson hit that home run at the end of the game if it hadn't been for Boston Neighborhood Network. Those grateful things I bring those letters to my staff, and I say to them, look, this is why we're doing this. Another question I would have for our legislators is, first of all, thank you for being here, and I'm proud and happy to see that there are some interns here representing some offices, and that's an important thing. But ask you interns, go and ask any of the legislators up on Beacon Hill how many of them started their political career on a local access station. Okay? I mean, that is huge. Or when it's election time, how many of them go back to that? Go back to Jeff or go back to somebody and say, gee, can I get on the local political show and tell them all about the great things I've done and stuff? But they started out there. And I can see that Representative Scotsdale probably is saying right now, you know, Glenn, you're probably right. And it is right. You know, it's the opportunity for people to get in there and say exactly how they feel. You know, people, I do things nationally. One of the things that we do is I go and do Hill Day, where we go down to Washington, D.C. with a small handful of us, and we talk to to the senators and to the representatives down there. I probably knock on more Republican doors, but you know, I think it's an important aspect to let them know, just let them see what we're doing. David, thank you very much for the opportunity to address such an esteemed group of people. Yes, the right of way, plugging in the side of the house. Why wouldn't we get 3.5 to 5%? We all know about that. We all know about the streaming, the cost of streaming, and that they're getting it. There's nobody here that we have to convince of that. But what we can do is we can put an extra step forward to make sure that our legislatures hear this and recognize that what we're doing is out of love for the freedom of speech, for the safety we supply our public to come and talk about that. Glenn Williams, what a bum. They can come and say anything they want. And this is the place they come and some of them do that, but this is where they come to do that. Thank you very much, David, for including me. Everyone stay safe, of course, out there in the snow. Thanks.
Glenn, you're always on my list of folks to speak. So thank you. Thank you for your perspective. Really do appreciate you being here. I think that's really all of the speakers that we had lined up, and we did save some time. We would like to take some questions, whether they're from our MassAccess members or from staffers or from legislators. Anyone who has a question, if you could just use the raise hand feature, we will go one by one. And as usual, my dear friend Alex Lamarche over at Hadley Media is first up. Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you, David. So I have a couple of questions. Since we all have relationships with our representatives and our state senators, at least their offices. How can we have relationships with the governor's office, since this is the last place it would go, if that's a move us individual senators can take? And my other question is, I was speaking with my local senator's office, Senator Joe Comerford, and they recommended reaching out to the chair of the Ways and Means committee. Is that something you'd like us to do also?
Yes. To answer your second question first, yes. Please remember to be reaching out to your local legislators and ask them to check in with both House and Senate Ways and Means, just to sort of keep that bill top of mind. And that's the advocacy that we can be doing really anytime. But we should be doing it, do it once a month, do it every 6 weeks or so. The legislators and the legislators on the call can back me up on this, that they actually do enjoy hearing from you. So check in with them. To answer your first question, we have made some inroads there over at O'Neill and Associates, and everybody just take a wave to Lindsay Toghill, who is our lobbyist. Lindsay set us up with a group meeting with Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll over the last couple of months. I went into Boston and met with Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, who I know from her time as the mayor of Salem. And when she was at the same function that Senator Lovely and I were at last Friday night, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll actually mentioned our bill. So it is sort of creeping in to that office and just to the consciousness of all the different levels of the legislature. So we're going to keep pushing on that. It's probably not time to go directly to the governor yet, but hopefully when we get there, it will be an easy pass for them and as well. So does anybody have anything that they'd like to add to Alex's questions, or does anybody have any other questions? All right, Liz, you are up next. Liz, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Liz DeFury from BevCam up in Beverly, Massachusetts. First off, thank you very much to Rep. Hannah Bowen for extending the invitation to this meeting out to other people in the community. That was pretty awesome. Just for those of us who are not as up to date on like the process that this bill has to take, could you just explain to us like what are the exact next steps that this bill is taking? Like, is it going specifically to the Senate or like first? Is it going to the House first? Like, where do we need to put our focus immediately next? Thank you.
Rep. Moschino, can you handle that one?
Oh, hi, Liz. Thank you so much for the question. Yes, so the legislative process next is once a bill advances out of a committee with a favorable report, which this has, it goes to its respective Ways and Means. So House 91 and House 106 advanced to the House Ways and Means, and then, of course, the senator's bill advanced to the senator. At that point, what we start doing is having conversations with our respective Ways and Means, and we look for what I refer to as a path to the floor for a positive and affirmative vote. There's a lot of negotiations that go along with that because they take a second look at everything. And usually what happens is as bills advance, they advance with recommendations from the various chairs, and you heard Chair Farley-Bouvier talk about that. So you are precisely correct. The next step is to start those dialogues and to start our advocacy, or well, it's already underway, to have our advocacy for both sides. It could advance from the House or the Senate. So I know it's hard. It's a lot more work to have those conversations on both sides. But that's what we need to be doing. And part of that starts with continuing the dialogue with the House members to reach out to House Ways and Means and the Senate members to reach out to Senate Ways and Means to show that there is, in fact, interest and support for these bills to advance. And you're very lucky because Lindsay Toghill is a terrific legislative lobbyist, and you are in very good hands with her, and she will guide you very ably, I promise you.
Thank you, Joan.
I think that's all we're going to hear from Lindsay today. She doesn't love public speaking, but she works very hard behind the scenes, and we are very lucky to be in a professional relationship with Lindsay. We're glad you're here today, Lindsay. Thank you. Scott, you're next, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up because I've been following closely these bills. I assume the language in these bills is similar to the previous iterations of these bills. And what is the difference between H91 and H106? Is it really a significant difference between the two, or are they more or less the same?
Rep. Moschino, can you tackle that one too, please?
Sure. The difference between the bills is technical. So the bills advance both the idea of the core idea of the a sustainable revenue source. And we have chosen to update the existing mechanisms because it's assessing a fee as opposed to a tax. And I'm not being cute with the language. I am being precise with the language because that's what creates the nexus to the important public purpose so that it passes through to the municipality as opposed to into the general fund, which we would never probably see ever again. What's different is some of the mechanisms. So for example, in the first bill 106, which was just the original bill that we filed in the first session that we filed it, what happened was Representative Matt Muratori from Plymouth resigned from the House and ran for Senate. So when he had been a key leader on this, and some of the people around him were worried that the bill wouldn't get filed again. So they asked Representative David Vieira to file it. So unbeknownst to us, he just filed the original bill. We filed the negotiated language that we worked out when it advanced. So it's technical pieces. So instead of just a 5%, it would be a commission that would evaluate what's an appropriate percentage. That's just one example. But I will say is that once it hits the various ways and means, either House or Senate, they will look at all of this again, and you will very well likely see a third iteration of that bill, which is why your advocacy is so important and why it is hugely important to express clear, positive policy values while language gets worked out. Because language matters, but it's the expression of the policy that gets us there. And there's lots of ways to get there. But does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. Also, in the discussion, Senator Lovely had mentioned the bill she had worked on about changing the language regarding appropriations. Is that also being considered, or where do we stand on it?
So Senator Lovely's bill is a standalone bill that addresses the specific issue, which we all understand is that when you appropriate money at the state level and it transfers down into the municipality, you can only use it for the purpose for which it is intended. But what happened was it said in there further appropriation, which as municipal law nerd geeks, we all understand means it has to go through town meeting. Now, town meeting cannot do anything else with it, but what it means is if you're a community like mine and you only have an annual town meeting in the spring, it means it holds up all of your money before you can actually technically use it for the purpose which it's intended. And you have to wait for town meeting to release it. That is an unnecessary step. We all have these revolving accounts. We all understand exactly how they work, but it's the law, and that's what it is. So her bill is very specific to address that issue of the flow. We wrote our bill to increase the revenue source, right, for a sustainable revenue stream. And in fact, we mirrored some of the changes that have happened about how the money comes in and how it flows. So it is important in and of its own right. Um, I can't speak to the Senate side, but I will just say that having another bill like that out there means that you can aggregate bills, and that gives you more weight. Small bills don't always come forward on the House. So that just gives us something to say, here's another bill on topic. Let's move it. So it's important in and of its own self, but it's also useful to us because it shows that we need to take action in that space. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you. And I see in the chat they put the bill number in there, so thanks. I just like to have this back. I'm actually I'm on the board of directors for the Access Station in Bedford, and congratulations, Katie, someone a former colleague. And we're considering all these issues, and we actually have a working group with various town officials and stakeholders to figure out what to do about all this if, God forbid, this funding doesn't come through. So thanks for all this information. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Does anybody else have questions that they'd like to bring up at this point?
Can I add one thing to Scott's question?
You absolutely may.
So one of the other things I think is really important about what you're saying, Scott, is that you're having the conversation at the local level. And that was what Elizabeth was talking about as well, talking to all of your select board members, your school committees. It would be incredibly helpful at this time if you also asked your select board members and your city council members to elevate this to the Mass Municipal Association. Now, in the past, we've spent a lot of time educating the MMA on what this bill does, why they should care about it, and in fact, they do. They have engaged with us in very productive ways. They weren't thrilled about the way that the language came out of the committee, and they have their reasons. Um, but um, but they have given us that nod. It has never gone through their formal endorsement process, right? Because they have their own rules and regulations about how they take up their priorities. But it would really be terrific if they started hearing about this from their local select boards and the local city councilors right now. We'll reach out to them as well now that the top of the year and it's reached the ways, both respective ways and means that this is something that is moving forward and that they should pay attention to it now. It would be really helpful if you helped us get their attention because their support will make a difference.
That's great. I'll definitely take those words under advisement. I mean, this bill, Senator Lovely's bills 1454, do you feel pretty good about its passage separately, or is your strategy that'll hopefully get rolled into the other legislation? Should we be pushing for that bill as well, or what's your posture?
Oh, you should absolutely push for that bill just in and of itself. Even if our bill stalls, you should actually absolutely it's technical and it corrects a challenge and it saves everybody heartache. So yes, 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 you should absolutely be doing that. I'm just looking at it as, a way to create some gravity around, some weight around this bill as well as we try to get their attention. There's just different strategies to like saying, pick me, pick me.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And will the Ways and Means Committees of each body, will they be holding hearings on these bills
No,
potentially?
just to be clear, every bill that gets filed, that's timely filed, gets sent to a committee, and every committee must hold a hearing on that bill, one hearing. As the bill advances through the system, that's it. It got one hearing. That is it. So as it advances through, you must still continue to advocate for it, but there will not be any other hearing on it. Of course, it will be debated on the floor. But that's why it's so hugely important to pay attention to Katie's emails on this topic because she's going to be letting you know, David will be letting you know when to push for certain advocacy. So if your lobbyist gets a meeting, there'll be things to follow up on. And so it's hugely important that you pay attention to what comes out of MassAccess as next steps recognizing you can't all do everything all at once and we're coming into town meeting season. But if you can, you should take action when they do it. And we always send out suggested language or like little tip ways to get started. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can simply be I need you to pay attention to this. This is hugely important to me because. So if you can, you absolutely should be guided by Katie and David as to timely advocacy.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you, Representative. Um, Senator Lovely, if you're still with us, can you maybe mention some strategies for advocacy at this point, or is that sort of done and now we're waiting for the legislators to do their thing?
Thank you, David. I think the time is always immediate for advocacy. So because it's moved to the orders of the day in the Senate, that means it's ready to be brought forward. I'll be working with leadership to allow that to happen. But certainly if anybody wants to you can send an email to me. I'll forward it along. I can see all this advocacy today. I mean, it's amazing. You had over 90 participants. You're only down to 85. Everybody has stayed in this. I also want to tell you, I had a unique opportunity to attend the NATOA conference in over the summer in New Orleans, and Massachusetts is on the map for media access. I will tell you, we are a standout state. I can't tell you what NATOA, I can't remember what it stands for now, but it was access media and siting of towers and, rights of way and all of that all across the country. And Massachusetts is on the map. So congrats to everybody. We're working really hard to keep us on the map and make sure that you all are able to do your work. But I appear on several cable shows in my district, and it's just the best way to get message out to our constituents on what we're working on. So also want to give a shout out to Rep. Kearns, who I see is here. Great colleague, great partner. Yep, but so that's please send your emails. So you can send them to me, I'll forward them on, or send them to your rep or your senator, and we'll make sure they get where they need to go. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. Jonathan and Stowe, did you have a question for us?
Yes, I was just wondering, is there a write-up or a summary or a press release that we could perhaps have to give to our local newspapers for those of us that still have one, or put on our social media?
We do have a fact sheet, and Harrison from Rep. Moschino's office was going to share that in the chat, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I did, and I'll put that in again just so it's right at the top.
Right.
And Jonathan, if you have if you'd like to get something written up in the local paper, just engage with someone over there and see if they're interested in hearing the story, just providing them with the information about, how we're all being asked to do more with less these days, right? We're asked to be doing a lot more coverage and a lot more services to municipalities, and we have dwindling funds to do it with. So that in itself, I think, is a pretty engaging story. The print media, has a very similar story to us, right? And we don't want to go in that same way, right? So I think that would be something interesting to them, and I could work with you directly on that if you want to give me a call.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I think we're coming toward the end of our session here. Any of us at MassAccess can answer questions about this. So if you want to get more information from us or from the legislators, reach out to me, reach out to Katie or Karen or Rob or Jonathan or whoever is in your area. So before we go, I want to say thank you once again to all of our fantastic legislators who have joined us today. All the support is really overwhelming, and it's great to see. It's great for you to spend the amount of time that you do with us and to support the way you do. We do appreciate the partnerships that we have with you because we do see it as a two-way street. So absolutely thank you to all of you for being here today and for continuing to support us. I want to give Katie the last word for the day. So I'm going to hand it right back over to you, my friend.
All right. I think everything that needed to have been said was said. So I'll leave you with thank you all for coming and keep up this great work. Keep up this momentum. We've heard you. We know you want more communication. We will work on that in this new year. I've got a great board working with me, and we're all so excited to help this legislation move forward. So thank you all again to all the legislators, our senators, our representatives, all of our community media brothers and sisters for joining us here today. And we'll hope you all have a great Tuesday afternoon and stay safe in the snow. Thank you all.